When a surprise baby arrives, mothers often have a really tricky time, especially if they aren't married or whatever the circumstances are. The abortion ideation levels get higher and higher with these poor babies. And if a mom is in this situation and comes to you, what will you tell her to help her understand her situation, have empathy for her, and help her communicate with the surprise baby?
It's the mother's choice to have her whatever she does with this baby that's growing in her womb. It is the mother's choice. They need to make the decision. And there's lots of options out there. Now, I love William's approach of saying, say it's a single mom, and she's just starting college, just starting her life, and she doesn't know how she's going to support this baby. And William says, just talk to the baby. Talk to the baby. Tell the baby your circumstances. And sometimes the baby will have the power to leave. But the mother says, will you come back at a later time?
Hmm.
Will you please come back?
Isn't it basically true that the baby already knows and feels the circumstances?
Probably.
So if the mother says you were a surprise, I'm not sure what to do, wouldn't that alone be a huge relief for that soul, that being?
Absolutely.
So talk to the baby with the truth, because whatever you're feeling is expressed in stress hormones and bioinformation molecules. So your baby feels the truth. Never deny it, share it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So the next step would be making the decision, what's how you're going to manage. What kind of support do you have? Is there any way that you can keep this baby? Because you can be a blessed babysitter. And that's out of Colleen Graham's book, Welcome Baby. That is a page out of her book, Welcome Baby. And it's you could be the blessed babysitter to carry this baby for 9 months so that somebody else can love him, but you love this baby in the womb for a family that can't have a child.
Prenatal babysitter.
Yeah.
Mhm. What else? What else can you tell the mom?
No one can make the decision but her.
Thank you.
No one can make the decision but her. And look at your options, though. Look at
Yes.
the options that you have. There may be a way that you can think, maybe I'm supposed to have this baby. Maybe I'm meant to have this baby. And then she figures out how a way to keep it.
Hmm.
Now, someone called me. She was about 3 months, about 3 months, and said, my baby is talking to me. Not only is he talking to me, he told me what his name was supposed to be and how to spell it. I said, how did you find me? She said, I've been looking all over. I thought I was nuts. And everybody said, call Barb. So we met, and that baby was determined to stay with her. But I said, the decision is yours, absolutely yours. But babies can talk to their parents. Just
Yeah.
not possible.
I just want to insert something quickly here because it's one of the options that you're talking about. I know of at least two cases that I was involved with directly where the parents prayed, uh, almost like prayed to, well, their baby after prayer left.
Mhm.
It's like they prayed, if you're, here's what's going to happen. We're confused. We don't know what to do. We're too young. We're afraid. We don't, we just please. And then baby goes away. That happens, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
And that's one of the options. Ask your baby to leave unless it really needs to be here. And
And make sure you say and say, I would love to love you and take care of you, but I can't right now. I can't see a way to be a mother for you like I'd like to be a mother for you.
but thank you. So many people need to hear that. No matter what happens after that, that makes everything about the truth and it makes everything real. And there's a kind of divinity that resonates in the truth.
So, um, if there has been ideation of an abortion or even an abortion attempt,
Mm,
you must apologize to the baby.
mm,
You must let them know why you felt it was necessary,
mm, mm,
and you need to tell the baby once you have decided that you want them to stay, you have to constantly reassure them. There was a time,
mm.
there was a time where I didn't know if I was going to keep you. And this was an example out of one of Rafa's histories. There was a couple that didn't plan on having children, and they decided after a couple of months that they would go ahead and have the baby.
After a
And,
couple of months, that baby was in limbo for a couple of months.
yep. And so they were seeing Rafi to bond with the baby. And when she went into labor, the baby's heartbeat started dropping. And they called Rafi. And Rafi said, remember when you were thinking that you didn't want to have this child? And she was on her way for an emergency cesarean. Remember when you were thinking about not wanting this child? Talk to the baby. They talked to the baby and said, we were so wrong. We love you. We want you to stay with us. Heart rate went right back up, and the baby was born without a cesarean.
Mm,
That's one of Rafi's stories that
mm,
always stood out to me.
mm.
That's how intelligent these little ones are. They feel our emotions.
Well, they do. Yeah, they have receptor sites for them, and they also have this energetic field, this morphological field within them that's going to become a brain. It's going to have connections. That's going to have memories. And one of the things that I've learned is that traumas and stresses create more of an impression and more dense and more numerous neural pathways and neural connections than anything else. It's as though we human beings needed to understand there is trauma, this is danger, stay away from it. We're going to really make that clear to you. And here's the thing I've noticed that I've had to work with pretty strongly a couple of times is that early imprint of abortion ideation, especially if it gets pretty high, is traumatic, and the baby's forming around and within this trauma. One of the things that's so important, and it's actually easy to do, is the mantra. I'm so sorry. I really want you. I'm so glad you're here now, but I'm so sorry. And that must be said many, 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 many times to kind of tear apart these neural connections that were made and to undo this bleak scenario. But you could do that all day long. You can do that while you're making dinner. You can do that when you wake up. You can do that before. I'm so sorry, honey. I'm glad you're here. I want you. Thank you for coming to me.
They need that reassurance. Yep.
Yeah, I've worked with a lot of abortion ideated babies and toddlers, and whew, it takes a lot to undo that early damage, but it can be done. And then they can feel safe in the world finally. Like, I'm okay. Wow, this love is real. I can trust again.
That's it. Trust. You need to reassure them so they can trust you. That's the key.
Yeah, I'm not going to go back on this one. Now that you're here, I know you're here. I accept you. I love you. Thank you for coming. I'm so sorry. I was a different person then. I was younger. I was insecure. Might have been a week ago, but I was a different person. So I think this intention is also felt. The power of undoing a hurt that you've done and owning it and saying you're sorry is you're right, is so important, that step.
And those cases can be really very emotionally expressed. I've seen a woman sob to apologize to that baby, just sob.
That sobbing has enough emotional intensity and power to send electricity and send biochemicals throughout the whole brain, and things change across the synaptic space. There's this huge potential that arises with this energized sobbing because it's so real, and it really does have a power in the brain to undo what was done, because what was done happened was so intense.
It's beautiful work, Carlton. It's beautiful work to help a mother have this power. The power's there. They just don't know they have it.
Mhm.
They just don't know they have it.
So let's look at the steps. There's a young woman, she's pregnant. The first thing she has to know is that it's her body, her decision, her life, and she has to get really real about that. And whatever that realness is, then gets communicated to the baby. And it's okay to say, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm in total chaos. That's what you're feeling. I'm feeling. But when she decides, the baby needs to know that. And then the baby, what's the next step? What do you tell moms once, say they're going to have the baby and they love the baby and they're organizing things in their life to have that baby? What's the next step for prenatal bonding, communicating with the baby?
Well, in all reality, if you're talking about a prenatal bonding BA, we go into an intensive history on what this mother experienced when she was in the womb of her mother
Mm-hmm.
and what her birth was like, and the partner. You want to find out both histories, and you want to go back as many generations as you can find,
Yeah.
because we know the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. So if you had a circumstance, well, let's take the circumstance that's happening right now. Have you seen the movie about J.D. Vance? Now, I'm not a Republican, believe me, but he had a horrible childhood. His mother was a drug addict. His grandmother, they were a poor family, very poor family, and there was a lot of trauma and fighting that his mother was exposed to. And knowing the way that grandmother acted in the movie, her mother must have been just as nasty, as well as the father must have been just as nasty. So he came into this world from not a loving background. And he is a survivor now. That's why he changes his mind. And I don't want to get into politics, but when I saw that movie, I understood immediately he's a survivor, just like my brother's a survivor. They're pathological liars. They do anything to survive, to get ahead, and to make it in the world.
Mhm.
And so when you see somebody doing bad things, I don't look at a person as a bad person anymore, Carlton. I just think to myself, I wonder what happened to them.